Hi friends, welcome back to my channel for another one of those kind of podcast style sit down, let's talk about our thoughts and try to grow as a community type of videos. I've had more requests for these, which I get it. I love to put on YouTube while I multitask and clean, and hopefully this is one where you can just like listen and maybe get some wisdom out of it. I also sometimes choose topics that I need help with because I come to you guys for your thoughts and your wisdom, and it honestly really helps me be able to assess a topic that I'm struggling with. And this is very much one of those. So today we're going to be talking about the concept of caring too much and the art of caring less. I feel like this can manifest in a lot of different forms. For me, the primary way is caring about other people's perception of me and letting that weigh so heavily on everything I do to the point to where it can be debilitating and to where you don't feel like you're living authentically, but rather you're trying to be what everyone expects of you. But this can also be something else I've struggled with, is just caring about achieving so much, caring about doing well, an unhealthy amount of care. It is great to try to be a good person. It is great to try to do a good job. It's great to try to succeed and excel in your career and in your work. But as with everything, there's a balance. And if you go too far in one direction or another, a lot of really unhealthy consequences come from it. And I found myself very much in the unhealthy side of the spectrum. And so I'm going to structure this video by first giving you some of my thoughts, some things that people have said to me recently and have kind of spurred the idea for this video. And then I'm going to be hopping to your guys' thoughts. I asked it on Instagram 3 different questions. First, what areas have been impacted for you by caring too much? Because I think it's great to know we're not alone in our struggles and that this is very common for a lot of people and it manifests in so many different ways. But then second, if you have managed to care less, what have been the positive effects of that for you? And I've felt so encouraged reading all the different positive effects that you guys have experienced in your own lives by letting go of that excessive amount of care or worry. And then finally, the best advice that you have received on this topic. And this is where I needed it. So thank y'all. I'll have timestamps down below, kind of sectioning out these 4 little sections if there's an area you really are wanting to hear and wanting to skip to. But first, let's start with my thoughts. I think it's important for me to kind of explain what my biggest struggles in this area have been currently. This has just ebbed and flowed and taken control over so many parts of my life. I think living my life online and having my job be social media, very much being concerned with people's perception of me, whether it's accurate or especially if it's inaccurate. The main focus for me lately has been really worried about triggering other people. And I think that that's because I've been dealing with heavier things lately, online and in my personal life. Y'all probably know, navigated a divorce publicly, but recently opened up about some of my struggles with disordered eating. And I think that receiving comments about people finding my existence triggering was a big reason for my care swinging into the unhealthy side. My therapist gave me some wisdom that was really helpful, and one of them being, you are not responsible for policing other people's consumption of you. You are not responsible for worrying about if you living your life carefully is triggering to other people. You need to look through the lens of, is what I am posting or is what I am being irresponsible? And then if not, it's an accountability issue for the other person to not consume you if it's not something healthy for them. So phrasing it in that way was incredibly helpful for me. Also something helpful, this is kind of tough love for me, but it's something that I needed to hear. It sounds kind of harsh, but it helped me, is caring too much can simply be a pride issue. Because caring about what other people think of you and what other people perceive you to be is putting you in the center of your world. Sometimes it's not all about you all the time. And that actually is so helpful for me to keep in mind, because I'm like, oh, by stressing about how they perceive me, I'm literally making this all about me. And that was a really good wake-up call for me. Very healthy to hear. Next, this is just one of my thoughts. Worrying and caring so much, literally all it's doing is robbing the potential joy I could experience today. That's all it's doing. It's not changing my circumstances. It's not changing how they perceive me. It's not changing anyone's thoughts except for my own, and it's making me anxious, and it's debilitating, and it's making me feel like I can't be authentically myself, and it's robbing my joy of today. That is the only thing it's changing. This might be a silly example. I don't know why this clicked in my brain for me. Maybe it'll make sense to you. Maybe you're like, why are you talking about weddings? But I had my sister over the other day, and she was like, so many people from my graduating class got married this month, and it is mind-blowing to me how different all their weddings are. And so she was showing me, she's like, this person spent like $250,000 on their wedding, and it was just excessively extravagant. And she was like, and this person had barbecue and beer in a barn. And this person had like she was showing me all the different types of weddings that people had. And I was sitting there thinking, people do their wedding in the way that they think is like the best way to do a wedding, obviously. And so it's fascinating to see how incredibly dramatically different people's definition of best is in a very tangible, visible way with photographs and all the sorts. And I was like, that for some reason gives me so much comfort to know that I feel like no one cares more than they do about their wedding day. Maybe not, but I feel like that's just such a big pinnacle. And to see that there's not a correct way to do your wedding is kind of a good reminder about life. Like we can all care so much about something, and the correct way for us can be the exact opposite of someone else. And last, this is more of a spiritual, biblical perspective, if that's something that's important to you. I was just reading a random devotional last night, and it kind of touched on the concept of caring and our cares. And I was like, okay, God, you knew I was gonna film this video tomorrow. I'm gonna pay attention to this. This is just a quote from the devotional. It's not a quote from the Bible. Our cares draw us in different directions, distracting us or keeping us caught up in unreasonable concerns. These cares take our focus off what God is capable of doing in any situation. They put our focus on ourselves and our problems, blinding us to all of His wonderful possibilities and purposes. They're tantamount to replacing God, moving Him off the throne, and attempting to control what we have no wisdom for. Even if you're not a Christian and don't believe in God, it's like at the end of the day, we don't have all the wisdom in the world. And caring so much about ourselves is trying to say, I know best. I know best in the situation. I need to take control. I care so much. And that is impossible to know the exact best thing to do. I want to get into reading the areas that caring too much has impacted for you, because this has made me feel very seen and very much less alone. And I went through and picked some recurring ones, but there was honestly maybe thousands at this point, and I was just blown away by all. So what areas has this impacted for you? Every area. This prevents me from trying new things and taking risks in my art and in my career. This has impacted me by the feeling of keeping up with the Joneses. I feel insecure and I spend money to try to keep up. That is a very real thing. This one's interesting because it says, I was thinking more about other people than me. Sometimes caring so much can be self-centered, but can manifest by only thinking about other people's concerns instead of things that we need, our health, our rest, our well-being, which is so interesting. It's such a almost like conflicting concept, if that makes sense. This I thought was very honest and vulnerable, and I appreciate this person sharing this. It said, it affected my marriage. I care more about what other people think of us than what my husband thinks or feels. And that is very real, because your spouse or your partner is one opinion, but if you feel like you have hundreds coming at you, even though your spouse's feelings should come first, it's hard to put that and weigh that of one opinion versus what you feel like could be hundreds, and to put your person first. So I get that that's hard. This person said, I've been wanting to start my YouTube channel for years, but I always think of what people might think. And it's very true that caring what others can think can just delay or put an absolute halt to dreams, ambitions, and goals, or things you want to pursue, things you want to try. Building a robust community and making friends because fear of rejection. I also think that's incredibly common, especially for young adults outside of school. You have to make an effort to make friends, and there is a fear of rejection. You could get shot down. This person said it affects what I share on social media, and honestly, same. Some days I don't want to be vulnerable and share what's really going on in my world because I don't want people to think, Oh, she's doing it for attention. Oh, she's overinflating things. Oh, she shares too much. Oh, won't she just shut up? These are all real thoughts that go through my head, and I'm sharing them in case they're real thoughts that go through your head as well. Oh, this next one I relate to so much. I struggle to ask for help because I don't want to seem weak to others. It is impossible to do life by yourself. This is me reminding myself this. It's inevitable that you're going to have to lean on someone at some point, and I know that the care of seeming strong and independent and like you have your life together can overweigh the actual need for asking for help, but it's essential. And I need to be better about that, so much better about that. Trying new things because I'm afraid people will think I'm bad at them. That was like kind of the main overarching umbrella, and that can look so many different things, whether it's trying a new career, trying a new hobby. It can look like so many things, but let's focus on the positive. I want to read some of the things that those of you that have successfully figured out how to let go of some of this unnecessary care have seen positive effects. And these are some that you guys told me you have felt. I thought this was fascinating. It says less judgment of myself, but also less judgment of others. And that's a good reminder of the way we treat ourselves is sometimes how we treat others, and the way that others treat you is sometimes how they treat themselves. So the people that are the most critical of you are probably also the most critical of themselves / the least happy with themselves, if that makes sense. More joy, more impact, more purpose, and less obligation. Those are all things I want. Let's read that again. More joy, more impact, more purpose, and less obligation. That feels freeing and fulfilling to me, all those words. This person said a positive effect for them is knowing I'm free to leave if it's not for me. Therefore, I don't feel trapped and miserable. The knowledge that we don't have to be stuck in some situations is probably so freeing. Given, I do feel like I need to acknowledge that some things are out of your control, like your family, where you're born, how you're raised, all those types of things. But sometimes we stay in miserable, unhealthy situations just because we care. And sometimes that's not healthy. To be able to get out of some of those and not feel trapped, that's awesome. This I think is fascinating because by caring less, someone has realized that some relationships have blossomed, but also some have faded. But now they have stronger and more real connections. I think people are afraid of losing friendships if they don't care to cater to them so much. But honestly, the people that deserve to be in your life are the people that will accept you authentically, who you are as you are. That's something that I actually feel like I've been really good at with real life friendships, is I'm okay with friendships being seasonal and I'm okay with friendships fading away, because I know that the ones that are deserving to be in my life and me and theirs are the ones that accept me for who I am in that phase of life, and the ones that like fit, if that makes sense. This person said I'm more outspoken about my likes and dislikes, and I tend to stand up for my beliefs more. That is awesome. I am terrible at that. I want to be able to do that. Happiness without strings. Validation that people can accept you for your whole true self. Actually, I took a screenshot the other day of something that Christiane Janse said on her story, which kind of goes hand in hand with that. Let me find it. And I was like, this is helpful for me to read. And I think it is about the concept of trying to present yourself in a way that the most people will like. Someone asked her a recommendation for being unapologetically yourself, and she said people value authenticity. There's nothing more endearing and intriguing than someone who's unapologetically themselves. Yes, you won't be everyone's cup of tea, but I would much rather be myself and have people truly know me and love me for me, rather than people loving a fake version of myself that I think that they want. That is so healing for me to hear. This person says, now I have so much more time, energy, and less anxiety. Caring does take time and energy. It takes valuable, finite resources. This person says, caring less, they've been able to find true peace, not just with others, but especially when they are alone with their own thoughts. This person said, I'm no longer attracted to things that aren't good for me. I just want to live my life and find joy. Isn't that fascinating that sometimes unhealthy amounts of care, we could literally be attracted to and crave things that are not healthy for us. But finding that fulfillment and that contentment and that peace allows us to not crave things that are so unhealthy for us. This person said, my mind feels free and less cluttered, without the heaviness that gossip brings. And I thought this was fascinating because an area of care is sometimes gossip. Gossip is a way for people to feel like they can bond with someone else by tearing someone else down. But in actuality, that just is so burdensome in your own soul and in your own mind. And it's a weird thing that even I catch myself doing, of like, you know, girlfriends come over and you're like, oh, did you see who they're dating? Like, let's talk about that. It seems so frivolous in the moment, but it really does change the way your brain works and the way that your heart feels to bond over talking about someone else, even if it doesn't feel like malintent. And that's an area of care that I didn't really consider until this person's comment. And I think it's something that our generation, my generation, social media generation needs to be better about. We are so bad about that, and it really is just like kind of poisonous to our own hearts as someone that partakes in it and as someone that is often on both sides of gossip. I'm more in tune with my gut, and I understand what's best for me, not what others want for me. No one knows you and your needs and your desires and what's best for you like you. It's great to get wisdom from other people that, you know, have life experience and care for your best interests, but to be in tune with your gut and what you really want to do and need to do sounds like an awesome effect of caring less. Less decision fatigue. Caring makes you feel like you need to decide on so much, and I don't know if you know this, but decision fatigue is real. You have a finite amount of decisions you can make in a day, and if you make decisions on things that don't matter, then later in the day you're not going to be able to decide on things that do matter. Time to do nothing without guilt. Like, the ability to just relax and unplug without guilt is very much, I would imagine, a side effect of not caring too much. And that's essential. Better boundaries and less emotional labor from hiding my true self from loved ones. That's awesome. There are so many of these. It's just such a small handful. I wish I could read every single one, but it inspires me to want to strive for this because I want to feel these feelings like you guys feel. Now, I just want to quickly go through the best advice that you have received on this topic. And some of these things are so good. I want to like write these down and stick them on a mirror. This one I feel like I've heard before. No matter what you do, people will never run out of things to say, so just do you. It's nice to know that there is no solution to that problem. So why spend the effort trying to get people to not say or think things about you? I thought this was interesting. The concept of caring too much and not being able to try something new, like starting a YouTube channel or starting a new hobby. This person said, start ugly early. There will never be a right time for things, and you will always be learning, so start even if it's not perfect. I think that gives me a lot of freedom to be like, no matter if I start now or in 10 years when I feel ready, my first attempt is not going to be great. So I might as well start ugly now and learn as I go. This, I know you've heard this a million times, but people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. Something that helps me in the world of social media is like, I was actually listening to the What We Said podcast, and they said something similar of like, on social media it's different because like they commented something, they DM something, clearly they thought about me and they let it be known. But something that my boyfriend told me that is helpful to me is when someone comments something like that, they comment it, but then they go on with their day and they probably don't think about it again. And here I am being like, this person cared enough to comment, and I just like marinate on it for hours. For them, it was 10 seconds, and for me, it was 3 hours, and that is not balanced and fair. So even if someone cares enough to say something to you, they probably said it and forgot it, and they went on with their day, and they never thought about it again. And for me, that was helpful. This one's good. Are you ready for this? You can't let someone make you inferior without your consent. If you allow someone to make you feel inferior, you consented to that. That's another one of those tough love things that I think I needed to hear because I'm very guilty of doing that. I consent to a lot of people making me feel inferior a lot of the time, and I want to be better about that. Of course, we hear comparison is the thief of joy, but I thought it was fascinating that someone said perfection is the thief of joy. You don't have to be perfect at something in order to do it or enjoy it. Miserable people want others to be miserable with them. Don't let them cause you misery. Don't take criticism from people that you wouldn't take advice from. That's another great thing. I feel like a lot of the times we are worried about what people think of us, and we care so much about what people think of us. And those same people, if they gave us advice, we would be like, you don't know me. So why should we care about their criticisms, you know? Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. A comment that I have shared before, I think this was also from the What We Said podcast that has helped me in terms of like caring what people think or say about me, is, you know, the saying that if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. If someone says something about you or thinks something about you, but you're not there to hear it, does it really have an effect on your life? It doesn't. So I think it's sometimes nice to not worry about what could be being said about you or thought about you, because if you're not there to hear it, it doesn't have an effect on your life. Hope for the best, but expect nothing. That's a great way to manage care, because you do need to care to some extent, but you don't need to expect. Authenticity is most important for connection and success. Just showing up and being yourself, who you truly are, and not caring about what people expect of you, that is important for connection and success. This person said, I realize that people don't like me for who I am. I don't want them to be around me anyways. That is the spirit. Like, as long as you're being a kind person and someone doesn't like you for who you are, you don't need them. If you're working hard to be a kind, decent, loving human, that's all that matters. You can lovingly tell people that your idea of success looks different from theirs. Can I say that again? You can lovingly tell people that your idea of success looks different from theirs. And that's not wrong. It's like the weddings. There's no one right way to do a wedding. We all do what we think is right, and it's drastically different. I feel like that metaphor is not going to land as hard as it did for me. And last but not least, other people are responsible for their own emotions, and it's not your job to cater to them. That's a lot like what my therapist told me about social media, is other people need to police their consumption of you. That's not your job to do on their behalf. These are all things that I think I really needed to hear, and it helps me kind of have alignment, like reset my compass to true north instead of going wonky and trying to figure out which direction I'm headed. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experiences and your vulnerabilities with me. I know that by you sharing them with me and me putting them into this video, you probably helped someone else feel less alone. This is the thing that I really, really need to work on, and is something I'm focusing on in this next season of life. And so you've helped me do that, and I say let's help each other do that as well. Let's care less. Let's be caring people. Let's be loving, kind, intentional people. But let's not care beyond that, about the things that don't matter, about how people perceive us. Let's be more authentically ourselves. What's that saying of like, you could be the juiciest peach in the world, but some people just don't like peaches? Let's embody that, of being the juiciest version of ourselves and being okay if someone just doesn't like peaches. Okay, I love you. Thank you for having this little podcasty style chit chat YouTube video blah with me. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I will see you in a video very soon. Bye.
So give me a sign. Give me a sign. Oh, give me a sign. Baby, give me a sign. Just give me one more talking to you. Here we go again, staying up all night to see if you've been texting me. Where do we go from here?